Okay, so I think it's important for us to know like what to expect week to week in this challenge. So obviously Saturday is our orientation, and then week 1 begins. If you've not already tested your in-body, for those of you guys on the challenge, I want you to get it tested in this first week here so we can set your baseline. Now, week 1 is going to be all about building momentum. Generally, we're excited during this period of time, but a lot of it's like, what the fuck am I doing right now, right? Like we don't know what to expect. Everything's brand new, but because we're in that period of motivation, we're willing to suffer and sacrifice a little bit more. And so that's where we carry and build into that motivation in week 2. But week 2 is where we start to like have to think about it a little bit more. You know, week 1 was okay, cool, chicken, rice, broccoli. I got this thing. We're going to see amazing results. But then by the end of the week 2, you're like, all right, cool. We've been doing this for 10 days now. This is getting pretty boring, right? So we start to push it a little bit. But that's where in week 3, come on now. In week 3, we're going to run into some of these obstacles. During week 3, for most of you guys, you should already have, those of you that are doing the constant glucose monitor, you should have those in by that point in time. But this is where in weeks 1 and 2, I want you to really, really, really be intentional about preparing your food, knowing what meals you're going to have. Start to make things interesting. We'll talk more about strategies with that, because in week 3 and kind of transitioning into week 4, as we hit that halfway point, is where we start to see people fall off the wagon a little bit here. Especially by this halfway point with the challenge, there's like 3 people that we see. Well, there's 2 people that we see. The third doesn't actually show back up again to do weigh-ins at that point, but that's few and far between. That's about 10% of the group. The other 90% of the group, you're either going to see really awesome results on the scale and be like, you know what, I'm going to double down and lean into this thing. You may not see great results on the scale, but you're going to double down and lean in on this process. Or you're going to be the other person who steps on the scale, sees really good results, and are like, whoo, guess we're done here. I know what I'm doing. And you're going to stop doing all the work that got you those really good results. Don't be that person, right? Be the person that looks at it and goes, whatever number and whatever things you see, boy, I can't wait to keep working harder at this and continue to get better at it. I can't wait for the next 3 weeks. Be that person. And especially on the back half of this challenge, this is where we're starting to try and stack and add some more things in there to maintain and continue that momentum so that you can see that progress all the way through that second half of the challenge. During week 4, we're going to introduce the idea of doing a 3-day water-only fast. We'll talk more about that. In week 5, we just discussed the, are you leaning in or are you walking away? Because finally in week 6, yeah, we got some updates to do on this. That still says October 26th. What are we doing when we get to the end of the 6 weeks? What's the commitment that you're making to yourself? With this challenge, we're going to be done the last week of February. So that means that you're entering into that first week of March. For those of you guys that are keeping track, I believe Ash Wednesday is actually that Wednesday that begins Lent and everything else. So you can piggyback this and roll right into it. Hopefully we'll actually see some warmer weather and not some late snowstorms this year. But again, like what's happening when we get to the end of that? Are you doubling down and going to continue with this? Most of you guys are going to say, wow, that wasn't so bad. That wasn't that unreasonable. Well, good, keep going. Good, keep going, right? But don't go back and add in the little things. Oh, you know what? I haven't gotten to have pizza. I'm going to have pizza. And because that's where this attrition begins. We add a little bit here, add a little bit there. Oh, I didn't get to have. Oh, I didn't get to have. Oh, I didn't get to have. And before we know it, we've undone everything that we did inside that.